Good afternoon, UFL fans. We've got some breaking news that could change the entire landscape of the UFL because what Mike Rapoli has been talking about these regional organization of players and staff and things like that, the league has made a huge decision today moving forward towards a brand new vision of the United Football League. And Mike Rapoli was not kidding. I'm coming on here. I don't have my normal graphics up or anything like that. I didn't have time to make them, but I wanted to get on here and present this news too because I thought it was really big news. And quite honestly, there's a little bit of disappointment as well regarding this because the league is losing some great minds behind the championship of the DC Defenders in 2025. There's a lot, and we'll talk about that courtesy of James Larson with Pro Football Newsroom. UFL makes personnel changes part ways with general managers. This comes to us from James Larson. As always, the article will be in the comments below, but let's talk about this. As the UFL heads towards a historic 2026 season under new leadership, it was inevitable that change would be on the way, with Mike Rapoli and his group at the helm introducing 3 new markets to the league, plus 2 more rebrands. There's plenty of adjustments being made at every level. Since Mike Rapoli joined the fold, the UFL has been doing full forensic examinations across the board. This includes football operations, and Pro Football Newsroom has learned that as of this week, the UFL has parted ways with all 8 of their general managers. Birmingham Stallions, Paul Roel, I believe is how you pronounce it, Dallas Renegades, Rick Mueller, DC Defenders, Vaughn Hutchins, which is very sad, Houston Gamblers, Will Lewis, St. Louis Battlehawks, Dave Bowler, another sad, just another person that is absolutely amazing. I got the chance to talk to him in Las Vegas after the game, way after the game, with another content creator in the media booth or whatnot at the Vegas Vipers game against St. Louis, and got to talk to Dave Bowler for a while. Absolutely amazing guy. And we also look at, obviously, the 3 teams that did leave. Steve Kaiser, Jim Monos, and Mark Lillibridge, San Antonio. Jim was Memphis, and of course, Steve was Michigan. But man, Mark Lillibridge is another big name out of this bunch that is an absolute amazing general manager. And again, I think across the board, the spring football, at least with the UFL in general, has had a really good pick of general managers over time. And quite frankly, it has kind of shaped the way these teams are handled, how they're getting players, and how they're developing everything at that point. Again, originally, the expectation was that those 3 GMs and their rosters would be relocated and dispersed across the 3 new markets of Columbus, Louisville, and Orlando. Now, James Larson is reporting the new structure moving forward is this. Instead, the league has shifted direction. The UFL is adopting a new personnel structure in football operations, which eliminates the need for each team to have their own general managers. To be clear, this is not a cost-cutting move by the league, nor is it something that should concern fans about the UFL's future stability. The league is moving towards a centralized scouting model resembling an NFL front office. Per league sources, Doug Whaley, which we know that name, he was part of the XFL, Russ Giglio, who, again, as we talked about just the other day of getting my showcase jersey or shirt or whatever you want to call it, Russ Giglio was one of those people that actually gave these to us. He's another amazing person that I talked to with the XFL News Hub crew at the Arizona showcase for the XFL back in 2022. Those two will be heading up personnel and administration, working directly with teams to approve and facilitate player signings. We're told that this may not be the end for these general managers, though, either. The UFL plans to hire 4 regional scouts as part of this restructuring. Some of the GMs who were let go could end up in those scouting roles. Example, a Jim Monanos or Von Hutchins, for example. I have to say, Mark Lillibridge, Von Hutchins are 2 names that the league should highly secure for these positions. These are 2 of the best names in there. I mean, if we had to really talk about it, I mean, Dave Bowler and Rick Mueller have been very great. That doesn't state anything wrong about Paul Roel, Will Lewis, or Steve Kaiser, or even Jim. But I mean, those are the top 4 names that really have stood out when it comes to player development and picking players and things like that for the league. In addition, this is a big thing. This is huge for the league, and it is showing their commitment that I am absolutely thrilled for. In addition, head coaches are expected to move to full-time contracts. This will help smoothen out this updated process within the league as coaches work directly with the UFL scouting and personnel development to recruit and sign players. I never understood why in the world head coaches were put on a part-time schedule, whether it was when the changes originally supposedly were happening with the XFL, that was coming up the pipeline eventually before they ended up merging. And then, of course, it became a normal thing in the UFL. I never understood that, especially with the scouting and personnel departments to recruit and sign players, why they had these on head coaches really on a pay-to-play scenario when their contracts were up at the end of the season. Like pay to play, what I mean by that is like appearance, or if they had to make some kind of decision, they were being paid on that level. This will change though. And James Larson states his final thoughts on this. All these changes are in line with the new vision of Mike Rapoli to regionalize the league. Rapoli's belief is that by placing recognizable local players into their home markets, it can organically help grow those local fan bases. This regionalization aspect is still in development and is expected to take a while longer to fully flesh out. As for players currently under contract, their futures with their respective teams remains to be seen. And we've talked about this on the show as well, that could be an aspect that completely goes away. Yes, we know Luis Perez. We've heard of some other players with the Dallas Renegades and other teams that have signed those contracts and are going to be part of the team in 2026. That may not be happening now. And I've kind of talked about this in depth on a few other videos, but a lot of people are like, no, this would be a bad idea. I don't think it'd be necessarily a bad idea, but it could get a little crazy, and that kind of, again, we are getting very close to the 2026 season. It is less than 150 days away, and there's still a lot to do, especially with these players and stuff. And again, as James Larson even puts here in the next paragraph, there is a lot that the UFL will have to make decisions on over the coming months. They have not announced head coaches in any of the 3 new markets yet. Head coaches for the remaining 5 teams aren't under contract either. That's the other big thing about this. This recent development is the first of many to come as the UFL continues to work through its reorganization this offseason. And again, he asks, what is your thoughts? And I agree. What are your thoughts in all of these developments that we've learned over the past day or so, especially in this? This is massive news that could completely shake up the league for what we know it is. Head coaches may not be head coaches in the 2026 season, or they could end up in other markets if that happens. That is a big thing. We could lose all 3 head coaches from San Antonio, from Michigan, and from Memphis. I mean, 2 of them were interim, and then you have Mike Nolan, who is a just legendary head coach, did a lot with the Panthers in 2025. You would assume he would be part of the 2026 UFL. But at this point, I don't know if we can actually say that's the case until they are fully under contract, which maybe they are about to sign them into a contract. Or again, they may be waiting till that January 1st time period. But man, again, the clock is ticking here. And I think that's really something that needs to be observed when we are looking from the window outside into this 2026 season, that the league, nothing's safe at this point. I mean, obviously, we know the cities and the markets and stadiums and things like that are safe at this point, as those have been announced. But when you look at players, coaching staff, GMs obviously are now gone. And then we're looking at these 4 regional development people that'll come into the league to essentially help out with football operations and kind of the league's future stability and stuff like that. With the centralized scouting model, it's a big thing that Doug Whaley and Russ Giglio, sorry about that, will be heading up those areas to really help out this and to approve and facilitate player signings, which who knows if anything that's been done prior to this week is even valid at this point. And that's something, it's very weird too. We have not heard anything from the United Football Player Association that has a contract with the league through the 2026 season. There's just been nothing, which is actually pretty bizarre as well. I've talked about on the channel here that we haven't heard anything. We know the contract dispute was happening prior to the 2025 season. That got worked out. They have it in place through the 2026 season. But with all these changes, one would lead you to believe that something at some point will be stepping in to be like, what is going on here? Especially if players that have signed contracts like Luis Perez with the Dallas Renegades, or those teams may not end up being on those teams when it comes to the 2026 season, which is just mind-blowing to me, especially with head coaches. I mean, look at Skip Holtz. No way they're moving him from Birmingham. Anthony Beck, I know some fans are wanting that championship and want him gone, but he's one of the most winningest coaches in spring football, at least regular season wise, and it would be weird for him to go. We talked about there was a tease that he could go to Orlando to be the Storm's head coach. That was kind of teased at that press conference. I don't think it'll happen, but these are all things that we could just see a completely different league in 2026. Let me know in the comments what you think. And again, thank you to every subscriber here on the channel. We are getting closer. We are under 75 people away from getting to 1,000 to give out season tickets. So let me know in the comments what you think about this. Hit that subscribe button if you haven't done so already. And thank you to the 2 members of the channel supporting it on a monthly basis. You can do so as well for only $1 a month. And that just helps keep the lights on here. So we'll see you back here on the flip side. Have a great one, everyone.